After 1,825 lonely nights, a feared Duke discovered her hidden beauty and changed everything. In the heart of Maple Grove, Lucy Harper wrestled with the heat of the griddle and the chaos of her two spirited children. Every morning, she awoke before dawn, the air heavy with the promise of another exhausting day. She tirelessly served coffee to the town's elite at the local diner, catching whispers and sidelong glances from people like the Carringtons who loomed over everyone like a storm cloud, ready to rain down judgment. Duke Carrington, the tattooed paradox, was the worst of them all. His harsh reputation sent chills through the townsfolk, and yet, Lucy stood unwavering, shoulders squared, for her children. When the summer fair approached, it sparked excitement in the community. It felt like a beacon, a break from the mundane struggles of life. But dark clouds gathered when Lucy learned her beloved diner was at risk of closure due to new zoning regulations. Panic gripped her heart. No diner meant no job and no way to support her kids. She had survived 1,825 lonely nights alone, fighting for a better life. Lucy wouldn't let that slip through her fingers. With an iron will, she decided to face Duke Carrington, the embodiment of power and prejudice in their town. Staring into his deep-set eyes, she felt a mix of fear and determination. "I need your help," she declared, her voice steady, surprising even herself. He inhaled sharply, taken aback by her fiery spirit. No one dared to speak to him like that. He was a predator, feared and respected. But there she stood, bold and unyielding. A crack in his intimidating facade began to form, revealing the curiosity he didn't expect. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Word of Lucy's audacity spread like wildfire, igniting a heated debate across Maple Grove. Some rallied behind her, recognizing her strength, while others condemned her for even considering help from the Carringtons. The diner became a war zone of opinions as the town divided. Friends turned to foes, and families found themselves on opposing sides. Under the heavy weight of growing animosity, Lucy felt desperate, caught in the middle of this churn of loyalty and class struggle. Then, the bakery owner announced an emergency town hall meeting. As Lucy stood by Duke, their fates intertwined in front of the townspeople, emotion swelled. Tension crackled in the air, and when Lucy finally spoke, her voice rang clear and true. Her message resonated, igniting something in Duke as he opened his heart just enough to see her struggle. Just then, an explosive revelation rocked the room: a hidden past, forever tying their families together in ways they couldn't have imagined. As the town's murmurs swelled, Lucy felt the ground beneath her shift, and she wondered, could love bridge the chasm of their worlds? Would they stand united or fall victim to the prejudices that had held them captive for so long? The moment hung heavy in the air, as Duke Carrington's eyes darkened with a mix of surprise and recognition. He looked between Lucy and the restless townsfolk, their whispers swirling like the autumn leaves outside. All it took was one fleeting glance to send Lucy's heart racing, an undeniable connection, ignited by the shared secret that loomed over them like a thunderstorm. "Lucy," he said slowly, a deep rumble that echoed through the murmur of the crowd, "there's something you need to know." But before he could gather his thoughts, someone in the back shouted, "Enough of this nonsense. Why should we trust him?" The sentiment sent a ripple of agreement through the audience. It was as if the weight of his past threatened to drag them all down into the depths of dread and distrust. Lucy's resolve almost wavered. She had fought too long, too hard to let fear take root now. "Because we're more than our histories," she called out, her voice shaking but firm. "We can't change the past, but we can choose our future." A murmur went through the crowd again, this time tinged with curiosity. She felt Duke watching her, his expression shifting, softening just enough for her to see a flicker of something vulnerable behind the hardened exterior he wore so well. Duke stepped forward, allowing the silence to hang in the air just a moment longer. "There is a history between our families," he began, each word deliberate, "one that connects us more deeply than anyone knows. My father, your father, they made a choice that divided us." Gasps echoed through the hall. Lucy's mind raced, piecing together fragments of stories her mother had shared, tales of feuds, bitterness. What could it be? But before she could process the implications, Duke continued, his voice thick with emotion. "I'm here to change it. To change the narrative. Help you save the diner," and maybe he hesitated, as if grappling with the enormity of his words, "maybe we can pave a new way forward." Could she trust him? Every instinct warned her against it. Yet, deep down, a spark of hope ignited. The townspeople waited, expectant, some skeptical, others intrigued. Slowly, Lucy felt a surge of courage flood her. She turned to the crowd and raised her chin, her voice ringing out again. "It's time to let go of the past. At time we built a community that thrives together instead of one that tears each other apart." A silence fell, hanging heavy and tense. Then, one by one, hands began to raise, some in support, others still hesitant yet curious. A shift was happening, and it stirred something electric in Lucy's heart. Duke took a step closer to her, his voice low as the crowd visibly shifted. "Let us tackle this together." His gaze caught hers, an unspoken promise hanging between them. It was more than just a plan to save her diner now. But as moments of solidarity began to sprout among the townsfolk, a shadow lurked just beyond. A figure stepped out from the back, a familiar face twisted in disdain. Miss Clara, a fierce opponent of change, her arms crossed defiantly. "You think a duke and a diner girl can change anything in this town?" She sneered, causing whispers to ripple through the audience again. Just as doubt had seemed to recede, Lucy felt her heart plummet. Would they be able to overcome the prejudices that had shaped their lives, or would doubt seep back in, tearing apart this fragile truce before it had even begun? As the tension thickened in the room, Lucy knew the battle had only just begun. She took a deep breath, gathering all her strength, ready to speak for her diner, for her family, and for a future she so desperately wanted to believe in. But could it withstand the storm brewing just around the corner? What further revelations awaited them? Lucy swallowed hard, feeling the weight of Miss Clara's gaze like a spotlight bearing down on her. It was suffocating, yet the challenge was undeniable. The crowd's reaction felt like a tidal wave, she either had to ride it or drown in it. "Clara," Lucy began, her voice steady despite the uncertainty twisting in her stomach. "We can't keep fighting each other. This diner isn't just bricks and mortar, it's our heart. It's where families gather, where stories are told. Do you want to be remembered for tearing us apart?" The room grew silent, the shift palpable. Miss Clara's sneer faltered for a brief moment, and Lucy seized it. "I know the past is painful, but it doesn't have to define our future. We need each other." Duke stood beside her, his presence like a guardian. "I know that my family's name carries a lot of weight around here," he said, his voice booming yet approachable. "But I want to prove to you all that I am not the man you may think I am. Together, we can rewrite our story." A ripple of emotion swept through the crowd. Some murmured in agreement, voices softening as if the air around them had changed. But Miss Clara wasn't ready to give in. "And you think a few nice words will change years of distrust? You think we can just forget?" "No, we can't forget," Lucy replied, feeling the fervor building as she faced Clara head-on. "But we can remember with compassion. This town has the power to heal. Let us take that step together." She glanced around the room, locking eyes with familiar faces, some nodding, others still skeptical. "We can start with one simple act. Let us host a community gathering at the diner. A night for food, for connection. Let's celebrate what we love about this place." Duke nodded in agreement, his hand brushing against Lucy's shoulder, a silent move of solidarity. "And I'll add a special dinner menu. That'll bring people in. If we want change, we must be the change. Gradually, the murmurs shifted again. People began whispering among themselves, their hearts tugged by the idea of what Lucy proposed. The prospect of coming together, if only for one night, seemed to stir something in them, a glimmer of hope. But Miss Clara wouldn't let that spark catch fire so easily. You really think a meal can fix decades of division? Her voice dripped with skepticism, but even as she spoke, Lucy saw the cracks in her armor. Maybe not all at once, Lucy responded, her voice rising above the tension. But isn't it worth a shot? We've been apart for too long. Let us create a space to talk, to laugh, and to remember we're neighbors first, divided only by old grudges. The crowd hesitated, casting furtive glances at each other. Finally, a voice from the back broke through. I'm in. We could use a good meal. Nods of agreement flickered throughout the room, like sparks flying in the dark. Lucy's heart soared, excitement blooming within her. But amid the surge of hope, Miss Clara looked as if she were about to explode. What if it all backfires? She snarled, her voice laced with venom. What if this isn't a solution? What if it just exposes our wounds? Every eye turned to Lucy and Duke. The weight of Clara's words hung heavy. Could they really bring the town together, or would this attempt explode in their faces, leaving behind nothing but ashes? As the crowd buzzed with nervous energy, Lucy felt both exhilarated and terrified. The night ahead could either be the start of something beautiful or a spiral into chaos. But maybe for the first time in a long time hope could override fear. With the challenge laid bare before them, she took a deep breath, ready to dive in. But would Clara have enough faith to join them, or would she shatter everything before it even began? The following morning, the diner felt different. The sun poured through the windows, bathing the worn-out linoleum in a warm glow, illuminating the faded mugs and chipped plates that had seen countless meals and stories shared. But even amidst the familiar comfort, an undercurrent of tension thrummed through the air. Lucy couldn't shake the thought of Miss Clara's words from last night. She arrived early to prepare for the gathering, her heart racing with anticipation and nerves. The thought of bringing everyone together, a community reunited, or so she hoped, filled her with a mix of determination and fear. Duke joined her, bringing with him boxes of fresh ingredients and a smile that felt like bright sunshine breaking through a storm. Let us make this special, he said, rolling up his sleeves and ready to tackle the day. Together, they arranged tables, placed flowers in vases, and set out the specials on handwritten menus. Each moment of preparation felt like planting seeds of possibility. As the hours passed, the diner slowly began to fill. The familiar faces filtered in with hesitant smiles, casting sidelong glances at one another. Lucy watched as families and friends slowly found their places, the tension palpable, like watching a shy child approach a swing set for the first time. Good evening, everyone. Lucy called, her voice echoing like a bell through the din. Thank you all for being here. Tonight is about us, about healing and reconnecting. The heartfelt sentiment rippled through the room. Just as she finished speaking, the bell on the door chimed, and Lucy's heart skipped. Miss Clara stood at the threshold, arms crossed and eyes narrowed, as if she were weighing her options carefully. The crowd's eyes flickered toward Clara, the energy shifting as her presence felt like both a challenge and an opportunity. Welcome, Clara, Duke said, drawing attention with genuine warmth. Glad you could join us. The tension spun thicker in the air. Clara's lips pursed, but she crossed the room, surprising Lucy with her resolve. You think a few flowers and friendly words will change anything? It was a challenge, yet underneath, there was a hint of something else, curiosity, perhaps. I think it's a start, Lucy replied, meeting her gaze with steady resolve. We've all been carrying burdens for too long. Let us share a meal tonight and see where it takes us. Clara hesitated, glancing at the crowd, the weight of history heavy in her stride. Then she sighed, the facade slipping just a bit. Fine. But this better not be a waste of time. As the night unfolded, laughter began to bubble in the corners of the diner, plates clinking together, and voices rising in joy. They served Duke's special menu, and people began to share stories, recalling memories of sun-drenched days spent in the diner's embrace. Slowly, walls started to lower. Yet, even in the midst of shared joy, whispers of disbelief circulated. Some still held doubt, others sought change but were afraid to step too far out of their comfort zones. When it was time for dessert, Duke announced a surprise. "But first, I'd like to hear from someone who has been through this all." He gestured to Clara, who stood momentarily frozen, the realization of being in the spotlight settling over her. As the crowd quieted, Clara took a deep breath, her hardened exterior cracking just a bit. She began, uncertainty weaving through her voice. "I know we've had our differences, but maybe tonight can be our beginning." A soft wave of encouragement rippled through the diner. But Lucy could feel the doubt creeping back. It was fragile and tentative, like a flame flickering in a draft. Would Clara share more? Would she let the warmth of the moment seep in, or would it all collapse under the weight of old grievances? Before anyone could react, the door swung open again, and with it, a familiar face entered, a figure from Lucy's past, someone who could either fan the flames of transformation or throw water on their hopeful fire. Lucy's heart raced. What would this mean for their fragile gathering? Would this new arrival complicate everything, or would it be the final piece they needed to truly heal? The bell jingled again, this time more sharply, like an unexpected clap of thunder. The figure stepping through the door was Sam. Lucy had not seen him in years, yet in that moment, he felt as familiar as the smell of fresh coffee that lingered in the air. A rush of memories flooded her mind, laughter, shared dreams, and a love that had once seemed unbreakable. He looked older, a bit wearier, but his eyes still held that same spark. The crowd took a collective breath, the charged atmosphere shifting again as whispers erupted among the patrons. Some waved hello, while others turned away, uncertain and guarded. "Lucy," Sam said, his voice warm but hesitant as he approached. She felt her heart stumble, caught between joy and confusion. "Sam, what are you doing here?" she managed to ask, fighting to keep her emotions in check. "I heard about this gathering. I couldn't stay away," he said, glancing around the diner at the familiar faces that echoed in their shared history. "I didn't know you were back in town," she replied, her heart pounding. "Just moved back. Figured I'd find my way home," he smiled, but there was an unspoken weight in his words. The room held its breath as Clara looked from Lucy to Sam, gauging the effects of his presence. This was supposed to be a moment of healing, yet the arrival of Sam brought an entire new set of emotions to the forefront. "Maybe you should sit down," Duke suggested lightly, stepping forward with a gesture toward an empty table at the back. "Seems like you two have some catching up to do." Sam nodded, but not before taking one last glance at Clara, who was still standing rigid, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. Lucy noticed that Clara's gaze mirrored her own feelings, complex, tangled in nostalgia and unresolved issues. "Let us keep this evening going," Duke said, attempting to redirect the atmosphere by announcing dessert again. But Lucy couldn't shake the feeling that Sam's return changed everything. As they settled into seats at a small round table, Lucy's hands trembled slightly. "So, how have you been?" she asked, trying to keep her tone light. "Honestly, it's been a ride. I thought I'd lost my way for good. But then these memories came back like your diner." He chuckled lightly, but the laughter didn't quite reach his eyes. "Tonight is special," Lucy said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We're hoping to heal some old wounds." She glanced at Clara, who was now watching them intently. "Wounds heal slowly, Lucy. You know that," he replied carefully, the weight of their shared past palpable between them. The crowd resumed its murmurs, some were whispering about the unexpected reunion. Conversations swirled around them, laughter trickling back into the room, but the tension around their table was thick. Clara had once been part of this circle, but now sat as an outsider, her breathing shallow, as if she were bracing for a storm. And just like that, a new thread of tension began to weave through the gathering. The fragility of their hope felt threatened. Sam's arrival had stirred something deep within Lucy, but it also sparked old conflicts. Was she ready to reach out to this part of her life that had been left unspoken for so long? "Lucy," Sam said softly, as if he were afraid to break the tentative peace hanging between them. "We need to talk." Just as Lucy opened her mouth to reply, Clara stood. "Enough." Her voice was firm, cutting through the clutter of conversation swirling around them. All eyes turned to her, and Lucy felt her heart sink. Would Clara reclaim this moment, or was she simply drawing a line in the sand? The room grew still, the air electric with uncertainty. Clara's next words could either pull them all closer or push them further apart. In that moment, the stakes of the gathering took on a whole new meaning, and the night hung on a knife's edge, teetering between hope and despair. What would happen next? Would Clara's direction pave the way for healing, or would Lucy and Sam's connection reignite past flames that had never truly been extinguished? Clara held her ground, a fierce look defining her features as she searched the faces of her friends. Lucy could feel the heat rising from her chest, a cocktail of fear and defiance swirling dangerously within her. This wasn't just a moment about Sam or the memories they used to share, it was about Clara, their friendship, and everything that had been buried beneath the surface. "Clara, please," Lucy began, her voice trembling. "We should let him speak." "No," Clara shot back, her tone leaving no room for negotiation. "We cannot pretend like everything is fine. It's not." The tension tightened around them. Lucy could see the emotions etched on Sam's face: confusion, longing, and a hint of regret. He wasn't used to this side of Clara, who had always been the peacemaker, the glue binding their group together. "Clara, I'm here to set things right," Sam interjected, his voice shaky yet determined. "I didn't come here to stir up trouble. I want to apologize." The diner, which moments ago had seemed a familiar haven, transformed into a stage for unresolved dramas. Patrons looked on, their conversations fading into an uncomfortable backdrop. Clara's arms tightened around herself, and Lucy understood the ache of vulnerability in her stance. This was personal. For what? Clara's voice cracked, revealing the hurt that had festered throughout the years. For leaving. For making us feel like we weren't worth sticking around for. Lucy's heart sank deeper as Clara's words struck like arrows, each one hitting a target painted with painful memories. She could see Sam struggling, his eyes darting from Clara to Lucy, searching for the right words to mend what had been broken. "Clara, I know I messed up. I should have fought harder for us, for this group," Sam said, his tone heavy with regret. "But I couldn't face my own mistakes back then. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone." Lucy wanted nothing more than to ease the tension. She wanted to make everything right. But each word exchanged only felt like fuel thrown onto a flickering flame. It had been years since they all shared a table, and the scars etched in their hearts remained fresh. "And now you think you can just waltz back in here, into our lives, and pretend nothing happened?" Clara challenged, her voice steady, but Lucy saw the cracks forming, the raw edges threatening to rip wide open. "I don't expect forgiveness," Sam replied softly, "but I want the chance to make amends, even if it means coming face to face with the wreckage I left behind." The silence growing around them was deafening. Lucy glanced around the diner, finding curious eyes fixed on their table, leaving her feeling exposed. This night was meant for healing, yet it seemed to be spiraling into chaos. "Lucy," Clara turned her focus toward her, "what do you think? Can we trust him again?" Lucy paused, her thoughts swirling like a tempest. Her heart raced as she struggled to find an answer. Was she ready to dive into the past, to revisit feelings that had laid dormant for so long? She started, but her voice faltered. How could she choose between the pain of the past and the hope for the future? Just as she opened her mouth again, a loud crash interrupted the tension. The diner door swung open with a blast of cold air, and a stranger stumbled in, eyes wide and frantic. "Help! Someone's hurt outside." The collective gasp and the sudden shift in attention felt like an escape route carved out of desperation. Lucy's heart raced, adrenaline surging through her as she turned to Sam and Clara. "We can't ignore this. Not now." As they rushed out to see what had happened, the weight of everything unspoken lingered in the air like an unresolved cord, the night hanging in precarious balance. What would they find outside? And what would it mean for Lucy, Sam, and Clara as they faced challenges far beyond their estranged ties? The frigid air rushed around them as they stepped outside, instantly cutting through the heated emotions left behind in the diner. Lucy's heart thudded wildly, its rhythm echoing the shred of chaos that had erupted moments ago. They found a small crowd gathered around the entrance, where a car had skidded off the road and appended itself onto the sidewalk. The sight was horrific: crumpled metal, shattered glass, and the pale light of the street lamps glinting ominously off the wreckage. "Call an ambulance!" someone shouted, voice shaking with urgency. A woman knelt beside the car, her hands gripping someone who seemed impossibly small and still. Panic flooded the air, turning the bustling diner scene into a distant memory. "Stay back!" Clara cried, instinctively stepping forward. "Let me through." Without thinking, Lucy grasped Clara's arm, feeling her pulse quicken beneath her fingers. "Wait, we should be careful, we don't know if it's safe." "I can help," Clara insisted, her eyes aflame with determination, but Lucy could sense the fear hiding just beneath the surface. Sam's presence felt almost electric as he took a step beside Clara, grounding her. "We need to assess the situation first, Clara. If they're hurt, we don't want to make it worse." The three friends exchanged glances, tension thickening around them, but the panicked cries of the injured pulled them back to reality. They couldn't ignore it. They were there together, no escaping the weight of responsibility pressing down on their shoulders. "Lucy, can you call for help?" Sam turned to her, urgency lacing his words. "We'll see if we can move the person out safely." Nodding quickly, Lucy pulled out her phone, hands trembling as she dialed. She couldn't wrap her mind around the idea that life had flared to such a critical point right in front of them. As she spoke to the operator, she watched Clara crouch beside the driver's side, murmuring comforting words to the victim. Her friend had a gift for reaching out, even in the darkest hours. The way Clara held herself, both fierce and nurturing, tugged at Lucy's heart. Even amidst the fear, a new layer of admiration for her friend began to stir. While waiting for the ambulance, Sam and Clara began carefully assessing the situation, checking for injuries and trying to make contact. "Stay with me. Help is coming," Clara said softly, her voice steady despite the chaos, but as they worked, Lucy felt the flicker of uncertainty creeping in. What if their old hurt tried to pull them back in this moment of crisis? As much as she wanted to support Clara and Sam, a part of her yearned for things to go back to the way they used to be. Yet, that seemed impossible now that as sirens wailed in the distance, the tension surged all over again, twisting the air tighter around them. Clara stole a glance back at Lucy. "Will we really be able to heal from all this? After everything?" The question hung heavy in the night, vibrating with unasked fears and unresolved issues, as Lucy tried to muster an answer. She could feel the darkness of the past closing in, almost swallowing them whole again. Through the swirling emotions, a sliver of hope fueled her. I think we can, Clara. But it won't be easy." Her words lingered, echoing in the night air, as the flashing lights cast a surreal glow around them. Clara nodded, her expression unreadable. But before they could reflect further, the sound of rushing vehicles and people yelling surged forward, bringing with it the promise of change and uncertainty. What awaited them in this new tide of chaos? Would their fragile bonds strengthen or shatter amidst the unfolding drama of the night? The wailing sirens broke through the night, drawing neon streaks of blue and red as the ambulance rounded the corner. Lucy felt her pulse race, her heart clenching with worry at the sight of the vehicle. The frantic energy in the air was palpable, drawing in more onlookers who huddled together, whispers running like electricity through the crowd. As the ambulance came to a stop, paramedics rushed to the scene, moving with urgency and precision. Lucy felt helpless, her gaze flitting nervously between Clara and Sam, who were still crouched by the wreck. She leaned closer, straining to hear Clara's voice over the chaos. "You'll be okay. Just hold on," Clara whispered softly, her conviction a fragile light in the darkness. The paramedics pushed past Lucy and waved her away. She stumbled back, feeling a pang of frustration mixed with fear. Can't they see what is happening? She thought. Clara had to be careful. Sam positioned himself close to Clara, his protective presence a comforting anchor amid the storm. Lucy felt the weight of unspoken words pressing down as they all faced the unknown together. Then, something shifted beyond the immediate tension. A deep moan broke through the wreckage, rising like a desperate call for help. Lucy's heart seized. She clutched her phone, the call to 911 still echoing in her ears. What had once felt like a social media moment now twisted into a living nightmare. "Okay, stay calm. We're with you," Sam shouted. He reached out, looking for a way to comfort the passengers trapped inside. The paramedics were assessing the scene, shouting out orders that spilled into the night like commands on a ship. Lucy's eyes darted this way and that, watching, waiting, but feeling utterly out of control. Clara's voice cut through the noise. "I need to know if they can move. Can you hear me?" Those words struck a chord in Lucy. Clara wasn't just asking, she was engaging the person in the car, wrapping them in a moment of connection amid the pain. Feeling a surge of inspiration, Lucy stepped forward, her voice rising above the disarray. "We're here. Help is coming. Just hold on." The words felt inadequate but necessary, anchoring her to the moment. Suddenly, a hush fell over the crowd as a stretcher emerged from the back of the ambulance. The paramedics worked with swift efficiency, gently lifting the injured passenger onto its surface. Clara's expression shifted, her worry draining into a renewed determination as she moved aside to let the professionals do their job. For Lucy, every second felt like an eternity, the air heavy with desperation. Once the patient was secured, the paramedics began to shout for the next set of hands. Just as they were about to wheel the stretcher away, Clara leaned forward, straining to catch sight of the person. "Is she okay? Please, tell me she'll be all right." The lead paramedic looked at her, hesitating for a moment before nodding grimly. "She is stable for now but needs immediate attention." Relief washed over Clara, only for a breath, before reality crashed back down. They had all faced so much in the past, so much unsaid between them. Was this moment a turning point, or just another fracture in their fragile trio? As the ambulance doors closed with a definitive thud, the atmosphere shifted again, pulling Lucy back to the night's deeper implications. Clara turned to her, eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "What does this mean for us, Lou? After this, can things really change?" Lucy stared back, the weight of the night settling over them like a heavy blanket. "I don't know, but maybe we can start right here." But the answer bobbed in her throat, choking her, uncertain and fragile. Before any further thoughts could surface, a commotion erupted. A voice shouted from the crowd that sent shockwaves through Lucy's heart. Someone was looking for them. The past collided with the present in an alarming way, ripping open old wounds that had never truly healed. Lucy. Clara. Sam. The name echoed, each syllable tightening the coil inside her. What did they want? What did it mean for them now? A figure pushed through the crowd, panic evident in their eyes as they reached for Lucy. Her heart raced, the voice resonated like a haunting melody from a past she thought she'd left behind. It was Noah, a childhood friend she hadn't seen in years. The memories flooded back, uninvited but undeniable, the laughter, the secrets, the betrayals. "Lucy." He called again, his face etched with urgency. "Are you all right? I heard there was an accident." "I'm fine," she replied, but her voice trembled. "It's not me you need to worry about." His gaze shifted past her to where Clara and Sam stood, tension radiating off them like heat waves. Lucy could see the concern mingling with recognition in Noah's eyes. The air felt charged, and the weight of the past loomed heavily over them. "Clara! Sam!" he shouted, rushing over. Lucy watched as his concern spilled into what felt like an overwhelming tide, washing over the remnants of their shared history. It was a reminder of bittersweet childhood bonds that had faded, now resurrected as they gathered at the scene of chaos. "What are you doing here?" Sam asked, brows knitting together, a protective edge in his tone. Lucy felt the flicker of tension. Here they were, a tangled knot of emotions, history clawing its way to the surface. "I was just passing by," Noah explained, still frantic. "I saw the lights and I had to come." He turned to Clara, his expression softening. "Is it true? Is someone hurt?" Clara nodded, her voice a breathless whisper, trying to hold it together as shock settled into the light of fear in her eyes. "They're being taken care of, but it's been hard." The moment hung heavily around them, reverberating with moments they once shared. Lucy took a small step back, trying to catch her breath. This reunion felt surreal, the mixture of relief and dread clashed within her, reminding her of what she had lost. Noah's gaze darted towards Lucy, lingering. He started, but whatever he intended to say was interrupted by the bustling commotion that surged from the crowd. Another ambulance siren broke through the thick air, its sound pulling them all back into reality. The paramedics shouted additional orders, urging for space and organization. Lucy's heart echoed their urgency, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was at play tonight. Clara looked over at her, eyes fierce and searching, as if asking whether she would allow this night to redefine them or keep them shackled to the past. "Lucy, what is going on between us?" Noah finally blurted, his voice a mix of hope and uncertainty. "We've left so much unsaid. Can we just I don't know," Lucy admitted, feeling tears prick at the corners of her eyes. The complexity of what they had once shared wrapped around her like thorny vines, preventing her from moving forward. She could see the pain mirrored in Noah's expression, the sense of regret making her chest tighten. As their friends shifted awkwardly, the words hung heavy between them. The world felt loud, chaotic, but inside, all that remained was silence and unfulfilled promises. "Maybe we can figure this out later," Sam suggested, breaking the moment but swirling each mind back into the reality of the urgency they faced. As a group, they opened the path for paramedics to further assess the situation. But Lucy barely registered the sound, her mind racing with implications. Could they really start anew? Did they even owe it to each other? The external chaos seemed quieter now, overshadowed by a storm of thoughts and emotions swirling within her. "Lucy!" A new voice broke through a familiar yet distant tone that made Lucy's stomach twist. She turned, recognizing another shadow from her past who would inevitably alter the course of this already tumultuous night. What more did her past hold in store for her, and how would it shape the tangled threads of friendship, fear, and unresolved feelings? As the night unfurled, Lucy squared her shoulders, ready to face whatever past shadow dared to emerge now. The mixture of chaos and anticipation thrumming in her veins was electric, but uncertainty gnawed at her insides. "Lucy!" The voice again pierced the clamor, and when she turned, her breath hitched. The tall figure of James, her childhood friend, stepped through the crowd, his presence a stark reminder of the dreams they once shared. Eyes wide in disbelief, he met her gaze and for an instant, the world around them receded. "James?" she whispered, the name laced with memories of innocent laughter and heartfelt promises made in simpler times. Panic flickered in his expression, though it morphed quickly into determination. "I came as soon as I heard. What's happening here?" His concern shone through, revealing an underlying care that hadn't faded with time. But even as warm memories surged, a stubborn tension remained, a reminder of why they had drifted apart in the first place. The battles of youth, the miscommunications, and the ways life had led them to separate paths. Could they bridge that chasm now? The diner. "It's complicated," Lucy managed, her voice trembling as she struggled to find clarity in the haze of emotions swirling around them. "But we're trying to bring people together." James nodded, taking a step closer, eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made her heart race. Together is the only way. We need each other now more than ever. In the whirlwind chaos of the night, their reunion felt like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. Lucy's heart soared higher, battling the tensions she faced. Was it time to let go of the past, to rewrite the endings they had been too scared to explore? Duke's voice cut through her swirling thoughts, firm and reassuring. Let us get everyone inside. Once the emergency is handled, we can refocus on healing the community. The strength of his resolve ignited a sense of urgency, compelling them to navigate the momentum rising, but before they moved anyone back, Lucy addressed her friends, her heart beating wildly. We all have history's wounds that ache. But tonight, if we can face the darkness and share this burden, maybe we can reshape our future. The past doesn't have to dictate our destiny. Clara, still lingering at the edges, spoke up, the fight leaving her eyes. I want us to heal, but can we all agree to put aside the old grudges long enough to make this happen? Can we dare to be vulnerable with each other? Sam glanced between Lucy, Clara, and now James. Then it settled. We embrace everything, both the hurt and the love. No more hiding. And just like that, the air shifted and heavy breaths felt lighter. Lucy could see eyes glistening among their friends, a flicker of hope igniting. This was the moment they all had been longing for, to recognize their shared humanity and transform their collective pain into something profound. Rallying determination pulsed through the air, wrapping everyone in a blanket of solidarity. We need to gather around the diner tomorrow, Lucy continued, her voice stronger now. We will celebrate who we are. Share food, share laughter, and confront our past. And together we will decide on the future. A chorus of agreement surged, each nod reinforcing their commitment, pulling them closer as a community. They moved with newfound purpose, gathering the supplies that supported their shared mission, each step infused with hope. As dawn broke over Maple Grove, it illuminated the diner with a warm golden light, washing the familiar space in warmth, shimmering like a promise of tomorrow. Lucy stood among her friends, Duke by her side, Clara and Sam, with James' steady presence grounding her thoughts. In those moments, the past felt less daunting, allowing them to embrace the bonds they created anew. Laughter enveloped them as they set to work, transforming the diner from a battleground of opposing ideals into a sanctuary of hope. As curious townsfolk gathered, Lucy's heart swelled. This wasn't simply about a diner, it was about rediscovering family, community, and ultimately, love. They came together in celebration, sharing stories, laughter, and even tears. Each dish served was a bridge being built, every smile an act of healing. And as the sun dipped lower in the sky, the shadows of their past began to disappear, one shared moment at a time. I was frightened of change, Clara confessed, her eyes reflecting the warmth around them. But tonight proved their strength in unity. Lucy's heart felt full, echoing the significance of each vulnerable truth shared. No more will we be haunted by shadows. Each of us holds the power to change our narrative, she declared, looking meaningfully at each friend gathered. And in her heart, Lucy knew, the strength she had always sought to protect her children now radiated outwards, enveloping each member of her community, transforming Maple Grove into something none of them had thought possible, a close-knit family, unified together. This was the dawn of a new era for Lucy and for all of Maple Grove, a testament to resilience and the incredible strength of the human heart. Now, it's time to become a part of this evolving journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories, leave a like now to feed the algorithm, comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. You're part of this story now.